this is the place to do it. Hey, John Bartell here. You know, winter is my favorite time of year to hit the back roads. So whether you're hitting the slopes for a day of skiing or maybe sledding down one of the many sled parks here in California, I've got plenty of ideas for your winter travels. First off, we're gonna hit Bear Valley, where the only way to get around is on a snowmobile. It happens every year. When the snow becomes too thick to plow on Highway 4 in Alpine County, Ebbets Pass is closed. And it's at that point that the whine of two-stroke engines replaces the sound of cars. Well, most of us use cars or maybe a bicycle in our daily commute, but here in the little mountain town of Bear Valley, the snowmobile is the only way to get around. On average, Bear Valley gets around 5 feet of snow each year. The community isn't big, about 100 or so permanent residents and 400 or so vacation homes, which drums up plenty of business for local snowmobile taxi driver Don Hicks.
Yeah, and all the cabins have my number, and that's what I do.
There's about 9 miles of unplowed snow covering the roads in the residential portion of Bear Valley. And up the road is the local ski resort, which is conveniently placed above the home so residents can ski right to their front doorstep.
I tell them to call me when you get into town, and I'm 5 minutes away.
It may take Don a trip or two to get vacationers' luggage up the hill, but his tow-behind trailer makes fast work of it. This sure beats walking! Now, you don't have to live up here to enjoy snowmobiling. You can always rent one. You're definitely gonna want to remember to bring your sunglasses or goggles. Bear Valley Snowmobile Rental is one of the few places that allows you to go on a self-guided tour. I, however, opted to ride along with Steve Harima for a little history lesson.
The Washoe would come from the east, and the Miwok would come from the west. For 10,000 years, they've been meeting in a place like this.
Native American and mining landmarks are scattered all along Highway 4 in the Ebbets Pass area, and so are a number of alpine lakes and cabins. It's remote up here, and a snowmobile is about the only way to experience a view, just like this.
And we're looking at the Stanislaus River drainage right now.
Although it's advised to stay on the groomed trails, there are a few opportunities to open the throttle up in an open meadow, like the one that Terry Passot and her husband visit every year.
Usually there are others, a lot of private people come out here, but it's just peaceful and quiet, and the beauty is just phenomenal.
Well, a snowmobile will get you to your destination fast, but if you want to take the scenic route, I suggest heading to Lake Tahoe and taking a horse-drawn sleigh ride. Even on a foggy Lake Tahoe day, you can hear it. Does it remind you of anything?
Giddy up, let's go.
Dashing through the snow.
That's right, sleigh bells on a real sleigh.
O'er the fields we go.
You know the song, but have you actually ever taken a ride on a one-horse open sleigh?
Yeah, this one here holds 4 to 6. We have another one that just holds 2 people.
Dwight Borges is a sleigh driver and owner of Borges Sleigh Rides at Lake Tahoe. And if you bring his horse Duke a little treat, he may just take you for a ride. These are not very good. Not very. Once you've paid your fare to Duke, Dwight will give his reins a little shake, and your scenic tour of Lake Tahoe's Sand Harbor Beach will begin.
Normally right here we get a fantastic view of Lake Tahoe. It's just amazing, but right now there's a bunch of fog.
Let's hope that clears here in a bit. Yeah, the fog didn't clear up, but luckily we were able to acquire some video from the nice folks over at Visit Reno Tahoe to show you what it normally looks like. For 50 years now, the Borges family has provided sleigh and carriage rides to Tahoe tourists, a business which was built on a fond memory that Dwight's father, Sam Borges, had as a kid.
Always a fun memory for my dad when he was growing up in Massachusetts to go for sleigh rides.
Funny enough, Massachusetts is where the song Jingle Bells was actually written.
Going down Salem Avenue outside of Boston, they would have sleighs where they'd race.
Dwight tells me those sleigh races often involved questionable driving and getting upsot, which in the old days means getting drunk.
They get stuck in a drifted bank. And
I don't remember that
that's the second verse.
Okay.
Yeah.
A simple internet search will lead you to some disappointing truths about the song, but long story short, all ends well as the inebriated sleigh riders go dashing through the snow.
It's more of a party song than anything else.
Alcohol is not provided on Borges' sleigh ride, but what is provided is a romantic experience. Dwight says on average, he witnesses a whopping 15 to 20 marriage proposals each winter.
And I can say that we have 100% success.
Oh, all right.
All they want for Christmas is true love.
Speaking of romance, Duke and Dwight actually had a small part in HBO Max's reality show, 12 Dates of Christmas.
Come on, Duke, cut. You can do it.
Duke is an 18-year-old Belgian draft horse, one of the strongest horse breeds, and that comes in handy when avoiding some melting snow. Duke powered through.
Yeah, he's a strong guy.
One downside to Duke's horsepower, his exhaust.
You know,
Oh, Duke. He really does like us.
He's very happy.
He's very happy.
He's the happiest horse you'll ever meet.
Well, I guess that's where the verse laughing all the way came from. Fart jokes aside, Borges' sleigh ride truly is a memorable trip. Not just because of the beautiful views and the romantic setting, but because of the bond you get to experience between sleigh driver and his horse.
I've always been part of horses, so horses will always be a part of my life as long as we got a safe place and fun place to do sleigh rides.
If you're looking to hit the slopes for a little skiing, you may want to consider heading to Lassen County and hitching a ride on California's only gas-powered rope tow at Coppervale Ski Hill. Between Susanville and the town of Westwood on Highway 36, there's a lonely open sign. At first, it's a little unclear what is open, but if you drive down the bumpy, snow-covered road, it'll lead you to a ski hill. And that's where you'll find 70-year-old retired logger, Norm Wilson, working on this thing. This is just a mishmash of parts.
It is, but you know, if you didn't want to walk up the hill, you did what you had to do to make it work.
Sandwiched between the Sierra and the Cascade Mountains is Lassen County's Coppervale Ski Hill, home to one of California's oldest continually operating gas-powered rope tows.
This is basically a framework of a truck with a rear end of a Dodge.
Coppervale is a mainly volunteer-based ski hill started by a group of locals from Westwood and Susanville in the late 1930s. Why Coppervale?
Well, this was a copper mine years and years ago, like in the 30s.
The original lift was a little more primitive than the current one. Picture a car chained to a tree at the top of the hill with a rope wrapped around the tire rim. Since then, though, there's been some improvements.
Updated with
Safety
stuff, so you can't put your fingers in there.
Lassen College took over the ski area in the 1940s and started the first official ski classes using this rope tow. You're definitely going to want to have a strong grip when doing this. Then in 1977, a hand-me-down Pama lift was purchased from Alpine Meadows and Tahoe so that skiers could make it to the top of the mountain. What's a Pama lift, you ask?
You sit on them and in between your legs, and you ride up.
Every time you hit these pulleys, it's a little rough right in that region there. The Pama lift has its own safety equipment. At the end is a shutoff wire of sorts that keeps you from going too far.
Then this gets knocked off and the lift turns off.
Is that just an old jumper cable?
This is a jumper cable, yeah.
Don't let the primitive nature of the equipment fool you. It's all tested and approved by state regulators. And with an elevation of just over 9,000 feet and 7 black diamond runs, Norm says Coppervale has an impeccable safety record.
And we only have like 4 or 5 people that get injured here, you know, because you're on your feet.
Because there's no high-flying ski lifts, Coppervale is an ideal place to learn to ski or snowboard. Just ask Kylie England.
They're really nice, and they've been helping me figure out how to do this, and they've even came over and grabbed me and helped me navigate how to go down. If you go anywhere in Tahoe, they charge you $300 for that.
Yeah.
Even dogs get free lessons here.
Yay! Bring it in. Emmy, bring the sled.
Because this is a community-run ski hill, visitors get a community feeling, and Norm's wife Debbie will even give outsiders community pricing.
$30 all day, $25 half day. We do ask for a $20 donation for rentals.
For the past 40 years, Norm, his wife, and many other volunteers have put their heart and soul into this place.
It's really emotional for me because I was able to make this available.
At Coppervale, accessibility for all comes before new chairlifts, modern amenities, and high-priced lessons. Here, it's all about the memories and the people.
Why would you want to put yourself through this for 40 years? And that's really the reason why you do it, It's not about you, it's about helping others.
Well, you're gonna wanna bundle up for this next location. California is home to some of the coldest temperatures in the nation. One of the coldest places on average is in Mono County at the ghost town of Bodie State Historic Park. If there was a map to the middle of nowhere, it would probably lead you to Highway 270 in Mono County. This road is surrounded by everything beautiful, but on this road, this seemingly non-existent road, there's nothing. Nothing except snow.
So it'll take us between an hour to 2 hours to get from where we parked up into the town.
This wasteland of a road is Joseph Jackson's morning commute. What do we got here?
This was a series of bad decisions.
Okay.
Basically, we had this whole section plowed up until this point.
Joseph is a California State Park Ranger, and his job is to protect a town that no one lives in. How does one get a job like this? Is this punishment?
No, it's not punishment. I chose it, actually.
This is Bodie State Park, a naturally preserved ghost town, and it's the coldest place in California.
The coldest I've seen is -29 degrees Fahrenheit.
Bodie is a National Weather Service monitoring site, and one of Joseph's jobs is to manually record the weather.
This is not the most sophisticated process here.
No, it's not, but it's tried and true, so they've been doing this for a very long time.
There's no digital monitors, no computerized readers, just 2 mercury thermometers.
It should be a gray line. I'm reading 38, 39. You're a little bit closer than I am.
Yeah, I'd say, it's 38 or 39.
One thermometer reads the low temperature and the other records the high. And this is what you do to reset the whole thing.
Full revolutions. Yeah, like that. Go. Perfect, man. You're a pro. You've been doing this for years. All right?
That is honestly as exciting as it gets. And measuring the snowfall is even more primitive.
Okay.
Yesterday we were at 58, so it settled down to that 57 to 56.
Gotcha. Once again, not too complex.
No.
Simple seems to work here. During the winter months this year, the average temperature is -7 degrees. That makes this the coldest place in California, and often the coldest place in the nation.
Why would anyone want to live up in this frigid, cold area?
Gold and silver, yeah. So it brought people from all over.
From 1887 to 1882, Bodie was in its prime as a bustling gold town.
Because there were over 200 restaurants here in town. So you could have gotten anything from oyster on the half shell all the way up to your basic Subway sandwich.
And don't forget the 64 saloons and brothels, like this one, with a pool table and several romantic rooms. It's estimated that 8,000 to 10,000 people lived in Bodie. That is, until 2 devastating fires hit the town.
So the 1892 one wiped out all the brothels, all the saloons, all the really cool stuff you probably want to see. And then the 1932 fire kind of hit haphazardly throughout town.
Only about 10% of the original town remains, and it only remains because of the dry climate here in the Bodie Hills. There's very little wood rot or decay in this area. In fact, preservation is not that big of a problem here. The big problem is theft or vandalism.
I mean, that's one of our huge concerns, which is why we're here 24 hours a day.
California State Parks took ownership of Bodie back in the 1960s, but by the 1980s, theft was becoming a big problem. And that's when one of the park rangers decided to make up sort of a fake curse.
People said that if you removed anything from Bodie, your life would be cursed from that moment on until that artifact returned.
The curse kind of backfired. People started stealing things and then mailing them back just to see if the curse was actually true.
Problem is, we cannot place them back into the park because we can't prove that they came from here.
These days, the park rangers work to educate people on the archaeological importance of the artifacts in Bodie. This town is a piece of California history, and the main reason it's so well preserved here is because it's frozen in time in the middle of nowhere. Bodie State Park is open year-round if you can get here, and if you can, you might just see how beautiful the middle of nowhere can really be. There's only a few places in the state where the ice gets thick enough to go ice fishing, and one of those places is Caples Lake in Alpine County. And as you'll learn, ice fishing takes a lot of patience and a little luck. The mountain community of Kirkwood in Alpine County is best known for its ski resort. Today, we're not hitting the mountain slopes for a day of skiing. We're going fishing on the frozen waters of Caples Lake with experienced angler Doug Busey and his family.
Make sure that you keep this straight and just drill down.
I have never been ice fishing before, so Doug thought it would be a good idea for me to experience drilling a hole in the ice the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more work.
Yeah, that it is.
While I was struggling, Doug made quick work of his hole with a gas-powered ice auger.
Oh, I see some water, so that's good, huh?
Caples Lake sits at about 7,800 feet in elevation, making it a prime candidate for ice fishing because the cold temperatures up here freeze the surface of the water in thick layers of ice and snow.
Ice fishing on Caples Lake, is it pretty good?
You know, it can be good. Sometimes it's not. That's why they call it fishing and not catching.
That's true. Doug is a straight shooter when it comes to talking about fish, and he kind of has to be. For over 30 years now, Doug's been reporting on fish conditions in the Eastern Sierra. You'll find his reports in a number of publications, including the Tahoe Daily Tribune, and for a while, even on cable access TV.
I'm a fishing fool and a fishing reporter.
Once your hole's drilled in the ice, fishing is pretty easy. Put some bait on the hook and drop it down the hole. A comfy chair is also important, because you're gonna do a lot of waiting.
What do they do during the winter while they're under there? I mean, is it dark under there right now? I mean...
I've never crawled down in my hole before.
Well, to answer my own question, I dropped a camera down the hole, and as you can see, it's not that exciting, but you do get a look at how thick the ice is at Caples Lake.
Tell somebody to go actually onto the ice unless it's 6-8 inches.
Doug says Caples Lake holds a variety of fish, but we're after trout, more specifically rainbow, brown, and Mackinaw trout. Unfortunately, we were not getting any bites.
It's a lot of sitting and waiting and crossing fingers, huh?
It is.
Yeah.
If the fish aren't biting in your first hole, you can always drill a second or a third hole. Doug says it's not uncommon to drill upwards of a dozen or more holes.
Yeah, fishy, 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 fishy. Oh my gosh, I can see it.
Oh, baby!
Just when we were about to call it quits, I hooked a monster Mackinaw, aka lake trout.
Oh, God. Oh, it just broke it too. Oh, yeah!
That's a lake trout.
Yeah!
There's an old saying, a bad day of fishing is still better than a good day at work. Well, I personally had a good day of fishing while working.
Hey, John Bartell here. We're continuing our tour of some of my favorite winter travel destinations. Up next, we're gonna strap on some snowshoes because I think it's the best way to explore nature.
And one of the best places to go snowshoeing is up at Calaveras Big Tree State Park. Imagine hiking under some of the tallest trees in the world. It's truly amazing. Season after season, year after year, giants in Calaveras Big Tree State Park were free to grow and were largely left undisturbed by man. But that all changed in the spring of 1852 when Augustus T. Dowd stumbled on the giants while tracking a wounded grizzly bear.
Came across this tree. It was the first way to persuade people to come up and see it for themselves. They believed it, they saw it, word spread. So this was the tree that got giant sequoias really famous.
Winter, spring, summer, or fall, for more than 170 years, tourists have been traveling to what is now known as Calaveras Big Tree State Park to experience the giant sequoias for themselves.
So this is technically the longest running tourist attraction in California.
Really?
Yeah.
Whether you're in snowshoes or hiking boots, the 1.7-mile walking trail doesn't disappoint. And if you're lucky, you might get Lily Orovitz as your guide.
That's a big tree.
It's a very big tree. It is the biggest giant sequoia we have in the North Grove.
This is the Empire tree, and when Lily says it's the biggest, she's not just talking about height, but overall size or girth.
So it is about 30 feet across in the bottom, its diameter. But the real key for bigness for giant sequoias is just how wide it stays. And if you look to the very top of this tree, you can see it stays pretty wide as you go up for quite a ways.
Sequoias are the largest by volume in the world, but not the tallest in the world. That title goes to the sequoia's cousin, the coastal redwood, which lives in a totally different climate.
If you're in the Sierra Nevada mountains, you're looking at giant sequoias. If you're down the coastline-ish, within the coast I should say, you're looking at coast redwoods.
One of the most iconic trees in the park is actually a dead one, known as the Big Stump or Discovery Tree, named after Augustus Dowd, the man who found it while hunting a bear.
So it took men 22 days to drill holes through the bottom of this tree to cut it down, and you can see those holes right there.
The technology back then, you couldn't cut down a tree with a saw. So what they had were pump augers and those drilled holes. And so you can see those lines are all the holes they drilled into the tree.
The stump eventually became a tourist attraction itself.
It was a dance floor, yeah. You can find old pictures. There was a gazebo on top of it.
Sequoias can live upwards of 3,000 years, and a mature sequoia's roots can occupy over an acre of earth. And what's interesting about their roots is that they don't go deep like other trees. They only go down about 12 feet, and many of the roots are often visible on the surface.
All right, so the tree behind me here fell in 1965. Trees of this size are estimated to be about 2,600 tons. That's about the same weight as 18 blue whales.
Social media wasn't around in the 1800s, but if it was, the father of the forest tree would definitely have been a picture for the gram. This hollowed out tree provides a pretty awesome tunnel that you can walk through.
Now, no matter what time of year, the father of the forest is a crowd favorite, but if you come during winter, there's a special little treat for you. You'll get to see all of these icicles form all the way down the center here. It makes for quite the picture.
You may think rot is what caused the tunnel in this tree to form, but Lily says it's more likely caused by fire.
It varies a lot depending on which specific forest you're looking at, but there could be a fire that goes through a giant sequoia forest every about 7 to 30 years.
Small fires are actually good for giant sequoias. In 2023, CAL FIRE and state parks intentionally set a prescribed fire to burn up debris and reduce fuel on the forest floor. This is relatively safe because giant sequoias have a defense mechanism.
This is a very thick bark here.
Yeah, it's 2 feet thick at its thickest.
2 feet?
Yeah, and it's not thick all the way to the top.
Sometimes fires get past the sequoia's bark and it will burn the middle of the tree, but Lily says sequoias often heal themselves.
100 years, 200 years, 50 years. Eventually it'll completely seal over and there'll just be a little hollow section of the tree that we'll never know about.
Another famous fallen tree is the pioneer's cabin tree. A hole was sawn out in the trunk of the tree in the 1880s, big enough for a car to drive through. But on January 8th, 2017, a windstorm knocked the tree over. So just by chance, I actually was here January 7th, 2017, the day before the Pioneer's cabin tree fell over. When it did fall over on the 8th, it was a sad day, but this tree is now moved on to the next phase of its life cycle.
Eventually they'll fall over, or they're currently decomposing anyway, and then they'll fall over and put those nutrients back in the soil.
Humans, more specifically non-indigenous humans, are the sequoia's biggest threat. Logging significantly decreased their population in the past, but now climate change and intense superfires are threatening the trees, like the fires that happened at Sequoia National Park in 2021.
They might have died, they might have made it. We could have lost up to 19% of all giant sequoias from those 2 fires. So if that's the case, we're down to about 60,000 or so giant sequoias, which is not, they are an endangered species technically.
Giant sequoias only grow on a small portion of the Sierra Nevada, making them unique to California. It's no wonder visitors are inspired by them, but they also need to be respectful.
That's our whole goal here. We want you to care about them, and then maybe you can care for them, because this is your public lands. We're California State Parks. This is you, this is yours.
Well, thanks for watching Bartell's Backroads and checking out some of my favorite winter destinations. I hope it's inspired you to hit the road and check out a few yourself. I'm John Bartell. Hope to see you on the Backroads.